Hey guys, it's Shara from Woodshop Diaries, and today I'm showing you my latest project I built for my spoiled rotten shop dog, Lucy. If you followed along for any length of time, you've caught a glimpse or two of her hanging out with me in the shop in my videos. But you may also remember the modern dog bed that I built her last fall. Because she gets all the nice things, I decided to upgrade her food and water bowl situation to match that bed design and get her some fancy white bowls to go with it. You know, just because. So I'll show you how this simple scrapwood project came together in this video. I ordered this pair of white ceramic bowls off Amazon, and I waited for them to come in before I started cutting anything, just so that I could get a good idea of the size that I wanted to make this stand. I'll link the bowls below that I used if you're interested. Once I determined the size I thought would look okay, I rated my scrapwood piles. I had some leftover white oak from when I built my broken leg resin desk, and I had some small walnut pieces left over from when I built my most recent dining tabletop. Because Lucy's bed was two-tone with a darker body and a lighter front piece, I decided to match that look with this stand. Also, of course, the white oak is all the way at the bottom of this stack. Once I had the pieces that I planned to use, I started cutting everything down to size. I've listed the cut list, dimensions, and everything that you need to build this in the free plans linked below. Also, these plans are easily modified in case you need to make yours taller or shorter based on your own dog's height. Mine ended up being about 15 inches tall from the floor to the top of the food bowl, just for reference. Okay, back to the build. Once I had my top piece cut to the final size that I wanted, I marked where I thought that it looked best to set the bowls, and I looked for a round template to trace out. The bottom of the bowls were 4 inches diameter at the lip, so I wanted something slightly larger so that it would sit down into the hole, but just barely. After digging around, I found a 4.5 inch diameter sanding disc for my angle grinder that worked perfect. So I placed this on the board and I traced around it for where to cut the holes. I used my jigsaw to cut these holes and they were far from perfect. My blade was really dull, but perfection isn't necessary for a simple dog bowl project, and the bowl covered everything up anyway, so I didn't fret too much and I just moved on to the next step. I gave all my pieces a good sanding, then I began the glue up. I started gluing up the box before I added the legs, and honestly, that would have been fine had I actually waited for the glue to dry. But I'm impatient, and I ended up breaking this whole thing apart later. So stay tuned. So while I let the glue dry just a little, I moved on to cutting out the legs. I cut the exact same legs for this stand as I did for the bed that I built her earlier. So I pulled up the template on my phone from that plan and traced it out onto some scrap walnut. I mostly just record my build plans so that I can refer to them later. I cut out 4 identical legs, then I began screwing them into the glued up box. So at this point, the glue had dried for approximately 5 minutes and I started messing around with it. I have zero patience. That is not recommended. I attached these legs by pre-drilling and driving 2-inch wood screws through the bottom, and in the process of driving one of the screws, the whole thing just totally collapsed. Then I realized it would have been better to attach the legs before gluing up, or actually let the glue dry completely before attaching the legs. My bad. So I just re-glued the box. I used glue and brad nails to assemble this entire box. Since it won't be holding a lot of weight, I didn't need anything heavy duty, but if you prefer a little extra strength, feel free to use screws or dowels or whatever other joinery that you'd like. I glued the top, bottom, and back piece together and nailed, and then let the glue dry completely before I moved on. Once that glue was dry, I glued and nailed on the sides of the box as well. Now all that was left was the front piece. For this, I used my white oak board and cut it to fit over the front of the box. Lucy's dog bed had some little decorative cuts along the front piece, so I did the same for this piece so it would match. I adjusted my table saw height to 1/4 inch and cut 2 little dados along the front before gluing and clamping it in place. I let the glue dry completely, sanded off any excess, and then applied a couple coats of poly. Then I filled Lou's water and food bowls and convinced her to take a few photos with me. Clearly, she wasn't too interested in the photos, but I promise she is into the whole food bowl thing, especially if there are treats involved. So I've got a few more pet projects on the to-do list coming soon, so I hope you aren't tired of seeing videos of Lucy just yet. I hope you enjoyed this super simple scrapwood project. Stay tuned for some big things coming soon. Until then, happy building.